Hello, welcome to this video. So in the last video, I briefly talked about memory leaks. Okay, what are memory leaks? Okay, so let's say you make an object. Okay, and this object is actually reliant on maybe this thing called object 2. Okay, so every time you make a new instance of your object 1, okay, this object 1 will actually make an instance of object 2. So now what happens when you delete object 1? What happens when you delete? Okay, what happens if you want to get rid of object 1? If you want to get rid of object 1, if you want to get rid of object 1, normally speaking, everything in object 1 should be deleted, including object 2, right? Which is called by object 1. Unfortunately, that may not always be the case. Sometimes object 2 may persist and it will start to stick around. Okay, object 2 will stick around. That's what happens sometimes. So if you keep having new cycles of making object 1, so you make object 1, and then in turn you make object 2 within the object 1 kind of a thing. Second step is you want to delete object 1. Okay, so but object 2 actually stays around. Okay, object 2 stays around. So if you were to repeat this cycle over and over again, you will have many copies of object 2. So if you make object 1, you delete object 1, you make object 1, you delete object 1. If you do this 10 times, then you'll have 10 copies of object 2, because object 2 is not necessarily deleted when you delete object 1. Okay, so this is something known as a memory leak. So that the more times you make and delete object 1, the more times that object 2 is stuck in memory and you do not delete object 2 as well. Okay, so this is the very basic idea behind a memory leak. And well, if you make programs that are very short-lived, that means if you say, okay, let me make object 1, I do something with object 1, and then I close the program. Alright, that will make it such that object 2 will also be deleted, object 1 will also be deleted. You don't really have to care about memory leaks. However, if you are doing something like a server will be a program that's running for several days at a time, if not several months at a time. If this happens, your RAM usage will slowly get filled up over time because you do not delete this object 2. Okay, so the way this is known as a memory leak, and we need to ensure that memory leaks do not happen. Okay, so this is the very gist of the idea, and that's why we have such a thing called IDisposable. What IDisposable does, let me close this. What IDisposable does is that, okay, instead of you have this cycle of making object 1 and object 2, if you want to delete object 1 first, you should dispose. You should call the dispose method in object 1. Okay, object 1. You should dispose object 1. That means what happens, what does this dispose method do? This dispose method actually manually deletes object 2. And then after you're done deleting object 2, okay, after you're done deleting object 2, then you delete object 1. Okay, so this is the correct way of dealing with memory. So every time you delete an object, if you are aware that this object 2 kind of sticks around and doesn't make itself disappear, you should have something known as a dispose method. Okay, and I have made it such that my IXmlLibraryLoader will inherit IDisposable. Okay, IDisposable makes sure that you have to implement a dispose method so that you kind of get rid of this object 2. So let's take a look. I'm going to show you what that dispose method looks like. Okay, I'm not professional at this, but I'm only sharing just to get a concept across. So this is the dispose method I'm talking about. Dispose method is supposed to implement IDisposable.dispose in Visual Basic, and this is the IXmlLibraryLoader interface, which is implemented by dwSimXmlLibraryBrute Okay, so this thing actually has a IXML data object, which is over here, XML data object. All right, and just in case, I really want to make sure this thing is deleted when this whole object disappears. Right, so what do I do? Okay, I make sure that this XML data object here is disposed, because this XML data object has IDisposable as well. Okay, this is just an example. It's not really accurate of the real thing. There may be other things that need more proper memory management, and it's not so simple that we have X documents and everything. But yeah, let's see. Under dependencies, there will be this here, right? So this is my IXML data, DWSim component XML data. So it implements IXML data and also IDisposable. So this is the X document. How does this class work? Okay, I have a public property X document as X document. It implements IXML data X document interface, that function within an interface. So this X document is a public property, which, okay, the moment I say I want to load this X document, okay, I load this X document, that means I'll load all this data into this X document right here. Okay, this load X document will load all this data into this X document property. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I want to make sure that it's deleted. I'll use this dispose method to say me.xdoc equals nothing. That means I'll delete every single thing within this X document here. So that will force a clearing of memory, so to speak, and that will save some memory space. Now this is a very simple method for this. Where do we see IDisposable in some classes? Okay, XElement is one such example of an IDisposable class. Oh, it's not. Okay, maybe X document. Okay, I remember one of them actually has IDisposable. Okay, hold on. Let me find it for you. Oh, X container. Yes, X container. Let's see. Alright, right. Let me find it first. I can't remember where it is. Okay, so forget the XML things. I want to bring you to this. Okay, DbContext. This is from a few videos ago. Very many videos ago. We were dealing with DbContext under Entity Framework Core. It will have this IDisposable thing that I'm talking about. So this is one of the cases where this is important. For the case here, it's not necessarily so important. It may not even be that necessary in the first place, but it's just a way of tidying things up and making sure all memory can be freed as and how we like. Okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so the thing is that I want it to okay, the thing is that this XML data actually has a lot of data, and I want it to be cleared. I want to be able to clear it manually so that I can manage the memory, so to speak. Okay, so let's go towards the buffer 4. Yeah, so why was I so concerned last video is because if I keep making these libraries over and over again, they might start to take up a lot of memory. So that's usually not a good thing. Alright, so yeah, this XML library selector, it should deal with this potential issue. So I want to be able to make sure it deletes things before starting. Okay, so where usually do we store our things? Okay, we store our things under the IXmlLibraryLoader object right here. IXmlLibraryLoader object right here. This is the thing we should store. Okay, so first thing before we start, okay, this get IXmlLibraryLoader is that I want to dispose and delete of this IXmlLibraryLoader object. Okay. Okay, so let me open. If we run the function more than once, I want to be able to delete, dispose and delete IXmlLibraryLoader. So how do we have the code for that? Okay, how we have the code for that? We have the code for that by okay, deleting this. Okay. Okay, we'll not delete this first. Okay, we need to dispose of it. So IXmlLibraryLoader. Okay, let's go back. me.xmlLibraryLoader dot dispose. Okay, the second step is me.xmlLibraryLoader equals to nothing. Okay, so this is how you properly delete an object that has that implements IDisposable. So you should dispose of it first, and then set its value to nothing. Okay. What happens if IXmlLibraryLoader is already nothing, and then you try to call the dispose function on it? Okay, it will just give you an exception or error. So you do not want that. Okay, so I will put an if loop over here. If me.xmlLibraryLoader IsNot. I wonder if there's an IsNot. This is an IsNot operator for Visual Basic. IsNot nothing. Then I will execute this code and if. Okay. Let's open me. Okay. Let's see. Back. Insert. Let's go back. Okay. Same thing for this. Back. Insert. And I'll go back a little bit. Open new line and if. Okay. 3 up, 1 up. Replace it with capital, and there you go. If IXmlLibraryLoader is not nothing, I will dispose it and then make it nothing. So this will help to clear the memory of this thing. Okay. Yeah, it will clear the memory of this thing every time we start. Okay, so this is the part where I deal with memory management. So let's see whether that affects the code, and I'll call it a day for this class. Okay, Dispose is not a member of IXmlLibraryLoader. Oh, Depose. Okay, Depose. Okay, 27 down. I misspelled. Dispose. Okay. So this is now memory, at least in a sense, more memory safe. Okay, of course, this library list itself, it should be. Does it implement IDisposable? Okay, this library selector doesn't seem to implement IDisposable here, but in theory it should. Where is that library? Okay, library selector doesn't implement IDisposable. The library list, oh yeah, library list will definitely implement IDisposable. So yeah, where do I put this? Okay, where do I put this? All right, so usually if I don't want to make IXmlLibrarySelector, you know, if I don't want to make it inherit IDisposable, there's another way to so-called do this. Now this is sort of another way of memory management. It's called Destructor C#. Okay, destructors in C# are the methods inside classes that are used to destroy instances of that class when they are no longer needed. The destructor is implicitly called in the .NET framework's garbage collector. Okay, so what are destructors? Okay, destructors are opposite of constructors. Constructors are special functions that are run when you instantiate the class. Destructors are special functions that are run when you destroy the class or when you delete it. Okay, well, at least that's the conventional way of thinking about destructors. In C# they are not exactly called destructors, they are called finalizers. Okay, finalizers are historically called destructors that are used to perform any necessary final cleanup when a class instance is being collected by the garbage collector. Okay, so this is how we write the destructor or finalizer. So this is the thing we can do. Okay, it says here, in general, C# does not require as much memory management on part of the developer. Languages that don't target a runtime with garbage collection, because .NET garbage collector implicitly manages the memory allocation and release of memory for objects. However, when your application encapsulates unmanaged resources such as Windows, okay, one thing, Windows files network collections, you should use finalizers to free those resources. When an object is eligible for finalization, the garbage collector runs the finalize method of the object. Okay, so what's the finalizer look like in Visual Basic? Okay, destructor in Visual Basic. So C# destructors, they look like this. Okay, so constructors are just the methods where the class, or methods with the same name as a class. Destructors or finalizers, they have this tilde at the beginning. So let's look at Visual Basic destructors. So the destructor syntax is called finalize, so they are really called finalizers. Okay, so what's the finalizer? What should a finalizer look like? Okay, okay, let's see. Protected override sub finalize. Okay, so this is what the finalizer looks like. It can be under protected, so I'll just copy and paste the protected thing. Protected, or maybe I'll just call it sub finalize, just like I have the public sub new. Maybe I'll look at more examples. Okay, no, not this. Okay, sub finalize is here. Okay, finalize destructor should not throw exceptions. Okay, sure. Just want to make sure they don't throw exceptions. So we will do the. Okay, we'll just do public sub finalize with a Z. This is not British spelling. So this is over here called the destructor or finalizer. This frees up memory in event the object is destroyed or the garbage collector is called to finalize. Okay, so let's go up. How do we finalize the thing? Okay, so these things are the code I want to run. If this is not nothing, I want to dispose of it and make it nothing. So this is what I'll do. If the IXmlLibraryLoader is not nothing, I will dispose of it, and then I'll make the IXmlLibraryLoader nothing. And I'll do actually the same. I'll do the same for the XML library list. Okay. undo, yank this and paste this. Okay, go up, oops, go up all the way, go to 0, back, yank inward, and shift G to go to the end, 3 up, 1 up, word, and paste. Okay, delete word and paste. Oopsie, paste, that's better. So backwards, okay, delete word, paste. Wait, how come I'm using the IXmlLibraryLoader? Let's go back up. All right, yank inward, shift G, 11 up. Okay, let's delete this and paste. Oops, paste. Back. Insert, delete, paste. I'll go down here. I'll do the same thing. Insert, delete. Okay, delete word. All right. So this is how a finalizer should look. If this XML library loader, if this XML library list, they are not nothing, I will dispose of them. I'll call the dispose method and I'll set them to nothing. Okay, this is how a finalizer should look like if we want to, delete everything. So now this class is complete. So we go down, 19 up, shift open. This is for memory management. Okay, so that's a finalizer. Okay, so let's try running this again. Alright, now it's complaining the sub-finalize shadows an overridable method in the base class object. Okay, to override the base class method, this method must be declared overrides. Okay, so the finalizer here should do this. Overrides base, okay, object dot finalize. Alright, so let's try, see whether this works. Alright. End of statement expected. Okay, let's try again. Okay, let's see. Visual Basic Finalize Override. Okay, so this is how you do it. Let's look for finalize. Protected overrides sub finalize. Okay, so that's why the overrides is there. You need to have that. So I'm going to change this to protected overrides sub finalize, and then let's see whether this thing works. Hey, perfect. So I should have followed the I should have followed the I should have followed the syntax that was provided earlier. Okay, anyway, so this is the IsNot thing. Let me close this. Yeah, I'll close this as well. Exceptions, close this as well. Alright, so this is the IsNot and everything. We should be able to call the finalize, or at least the finalizer is there. it will be caught by the garbage collector. It automatically does this finalize thing. So that's the destructor that will be called, I think, when this thing is deleted. So that should be fine. So at the moment you delete this thing, this finalize thing should be run. And yeah, that's how we will leave our code. Okay, 5 up for DD, and we are done for today. So now this thing should be at least somewhat, there was effort to make it memory safe. It's not tested memory safe, but you know there was effort. Okay, so let me try running get XML library loader more than once, and we'll see whether anything goes. Okay, and that's the last thing I will do for today. Oh wait, I should just use the Vim that's already open. Write this ls, let's go to the test buffer1. Okay, so 12 up, open a new one, and it says fact sub IXmlLibrarySelector execute more than once test, and sub open, and 2 up, 3 to the right, insert a space. Okay, that's okay. So let's execute it more than once. Okay, so I'm going to execute the method twice. Maybe 3 times, and then that's it. XmlLibrarySelector equals nothing. Okay, that's what I'll do. See whether the test works, and we'll call it a day. Oh, result library not declared. Okay. Let's see. Reference library, library 13 up, yank, go up, oops, go up, paste, yeah, shift G, 13, 12 up. Visual is always the best, you can see things. Paste, dim result library as IXmlLibraryLoader. Okay, now let's try executing it more than one time. Okay, perfect. Alright, that is it, finally. Okay, so it gets executed more than one time, and there should be no error. That's how this thing is intended to run, and that is it. Okay, so that's enough for memory management. I will of course commit all of this to Git, and actually there is one more thing. Okay, library selector, library list. Yeah, this library list actually, this library loader actually implements inherits IDisposable, so I sort of need to update that in the mindmap as well. Okay, let me add these things first. Okay, so added these two. So these two are added, commit it to the local repository. Attempted to make a class IXmlLibrarySelector May 2022 memory save with finalize and dispose methods. Okay, so I'm going to shift to the mindmap branch, git stash. Okay, I'll git check out my map. Okay, and I'll close this and I'll open this again. I will make sure this one actually reflects this. Inherits IDisposable. Okay, and I'll close this. Close this. Okay, git add IXmlLibraryMinder, git commit with message. IXmlLib updated that IXmlLib. Wait, what's the class name again? I keep forgetting. IXmlLibLoader. Okay. Git commit m. Updated that IXmlLibLoader implements or inherits IDisposable. Okay, so okay, I think that's it. I'll call this a day. Thanks for watching. See you guys next time. Of course, I'll push it all to GitHub, and next time then I will look at these other classes as well. Okay, thanks for watching. See you.